In MeadoWatch, we collect data on 16 different wildflower species in total. 6 of these are specific to the Reflection Lakes Trail, 6 are specific to the Glacier Basin Trail, and 4 are species that we follow on both trails. We'll use the RL and GB icons on the individual species videos to indicate which trail or trails we follow that species on. Collecting MeadoWatch data requires not only that you be able to identify each of our focal species, but also that you can distinguish between 4 reproductive stages, which we call phenophases. In reality, of course, plant reproduction is a continuous process with no sharp divisions between one phase and the next. But for our purposes, we will ask you to do your best to decide when a plant is in each of 4 phenophases. Budding, in other words, when it has an unopened flower or flowers. Flowering, in other words, when it has an open flower with reproductive parts that are clearly visible and available for pollinators. Fruiting, in other words, when it has produced a fruit containing maturing seeds inside it. And releasing seed, in other words, when it has begun to release mature seeds from its fruit. Some helpful rules of thumb. Buds are often green when they first appear, but as long as you can tell that that structure is going to turn into a flower, it still counts as a bud. When deciding if a plant is in flower, try to take on the perspective of a pollinator, like a bumblebee. Are the petals open enough for a bee to access the pollen inside? Then the plant is flowering. Is the flower clearly starting to decay with petals shriveled or falling off? Then flowering has ended, even if you don't yet see a fruit being formed. Similarly, at the very end of reproduction, a plant may still have a dry, cracked open capsule attached to a stem. But if there are no visible seeds inside it, the releasing seed phase is over. When in doubt, go with your gut. Just a note before we get into the individual species videos. For each species, you'll notice that we have these amazing line drawings that we are so lucky to have, created for us by MeadoWatch volunteer Kari Berger. And we love line drawings, especially Kari's, to help with identification. They can be better than photographs in some respects. For example, they can help to highlight small details like the fuzzy stems on these western anemones, or show contrasts between different phases that you couldn't usually see at the same time in a single photo, like how short anemone plants are when they're in their budding phase versus how tall they are when they're fruiting.